Call to order the President and Board of Trustees. Roll call.
Trustee Benucci? Here. Trustee Fay?
Here.
Trustee Lamb?
Here.
Trustee Peck?
Here.
Trustee Rassich?
Here.
Trustee Rippey?
Here.
Mayor Collins?
Here. Can we rise for the pledge? I have no comments.
Trustees' comments? If there are no trustee comments, this would be the time for public comments on items not on the agenda, not to exceed 3 to 5 minutes per topic. There are no public comments, and we'll proceed with the business meeting. We're seeking a motion to approve the agenda.
So move. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking a motion to approve the consent agenda to include minutes of the board meeting held on October 6th, bills paid and bills payable reports for October 20th, cash and investments, revenue and expenditure reports for September.
That is my motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve items A through C under the consent agenda. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is Preserve of Plainfield. We're seeking a motion to open the continued public hearing regarding the annexation of approximately 7.54 acres located about 1/2 mile north of 135th Street, south of 127th Street, and east of Heggs Road.
So move.
That motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. That motion carries.
Yes, thank you. This matter comes before the village board this evening for consideration of a proposed project. With regards to context, this project is proposed to be actually located on Heggs Road, just south of the Shenandoah development, north of the Dunmore and Dillman Estates development. To the west is the Grand Park development. The property is currently unincorporated, located in unincorporated Will County. The applicant this evening is coming before you this evening for a request for a planned unit development. This property, as I've said, is not currently annexed. They are proposing approximately 16 single-family lots. There will be one main access point off Heggs Road. The lot sizes for this proposed project would range from approximately 10,635 square feet to approximately a little more than 13,000 square feet. The village's comp plan does identify this site as low-density residential. The applicant's proposed density is approximately 2.13 units, which is slightly above the low density classification. In your packet, you have before you specifically a applicant has submitted a pattern book where specifically they are proposing specific product or single family homes which will be constructed within this development. One of the things they have agreed to is they will meet the same covenants which were approved as part of the Dunmore Estates development. To the south of this project, the applicant is proposing semi-custom single-family homes. The first floors would be all brick on all 4 sides. They've also agreed to basically comply with the village's single-family design standards. In addition, there are some other design aspects which are incorporated in the pattern book. The applicant is actually here this evening. If there are any questions, they have their attorney plus their land planner and landscape architect here to answer any questions that the board may have. So with that, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that the village board may have.
Michael, I've got a question regarding the Dunmore Estates. They're suggesting that they'll adopt those into their covenants.
That's correct.
Is there any reason we can't just make that part of the annexation agreement?
No, we could basically incorporate a provision which would incorporate the covenants.
Would they have a problem with that if I guess? I would like to see that, only because we've certainly had issues in other developments regarding covenants that we have no ability to enforce versus the annexation agreement, which we do have an ability to enforce.
So that's fine.
I would support the stipulation that Trustee Rippey has articulated as well.
Michael, did you say the design standards would be the same as Dunmore?
Yes, they've agreed to the same exact covenants as Dunmore.
Thank you.
As long as it's part of the as long as it's part of the stipulations for the agreement, for the annexation, then I'm in agreement. If it's just to say that, we want the teeth with it because, as Trustee Rippey has pointed out, we've been down this road a few times.
I move we close the public hearing and return to the regular.
This is a public hearing. Are there any public comments? If not, the motion was made and seconded to close the public hearing and return to the regular business meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. That motion carries.
One of the questions that you said, policy question for the board is the comprehensive plan balancing that with the current market standards, and you indicated that's less than the 12,000 square foot. This goes back a ways when we redid the zoning ordinance in 12,000 square foot. We've approved a lot of things in planned developments that are less than 12,000 for single family. And I think the thing we did most recently that really makes a difference is the single family design standards. And if they're meeting those standards, I think we will end up with something which is above ground, which is going to look very nice. And I don't think the extra space in the lot will make any difference in the appearance. So if we can maintain the quality of the building and construction, then I think we're going to be all right. So on the policy, I would vote not to try to enforce the minimum, but try to enforce the design standards.
Yes, as you know, as part of our residential design guidelines, in lieu of consideration for having slightly smaller lots than the default 12,000, they're doing basically additional architectural aspects, i.e. the 100% brick on all four elevations. Things like that which would help basically justify the slightly additional density that the applicant's seeking.
And Michael, I guess I have one more question for you. With what you see with what they're proposing, that will fit in between Dunmore and Shenandoah?
Yes, I think the applicant basically is proposing a semi-custom product. You have, and I apologize, you have basically before you on your packet this evening a professional appraiser's analysis on with regards to reviews of future price point, which generally concludes that this product should be consistent with the general overall price points for Dunmore Estates and Shenandoah. I think the product is reflected in here with regards to the pattern book. Generally incorporates a semi-custom design aspect with, again, the predominance of face brick, also complying with the village's design standards.
Thank you.
Are we still in agreement, though, that this document as presented by them will be part of the actual annexation agreement that we're voting on?
Yes, the applicant's attorney has agreed, so what
Okay.
we'll do is modify the annexation agreement,
Okay.
adding an additional paragraph incorporating the covenants that are in your packet.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So to be clear with legal, the motion then would have to include verbiage to include stipulations, correct?
Yeah,
Brian,
the motion before you tonight is actually to direct that the ordinances be prepared, and then if there's additional revisions, those would be included, because we're not actually voting on the annexation agreement this evening. We're just saying, prepare the ordinances and bring them back at our next regular
And
meeting.
you'll just prepare it with the stipulations, so got it.
Exactly.
Easy enough.
Are there any other comments or questions? Not, we're seeking board consideration of a motion to direct the village attorney to draft the necessary ordinances to approve the annexation agreement, annexation, and special use for planned development incorporating the covenants as suggested.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to approve the preliminary and final plat for the preserve of Plainfield.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll proceed with the roll. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is Masonic Lodge landmark designation. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to adopt ordinance number 3178, designating the Masonic Lodge at 24050 West Lockport Street as a landmark.
So move.
Second.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item? Hearing none, I'll proceed with the roll. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Rippey?
I recuse myself.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It's amazing.
That motion carries. Administrators report?
None tonight?
Management Services report?
No report.
Engineers report?
No report tonight.
Planning Department report? Building Department report?
Yes, just the operations report for September is in your packet. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any projection on the end of the year? You're already up about 20% from previous year to date. Do you expect the last 3 months to be, so November last year was pretty high. I don't know whether you can match that or not.
Yes, we had a slow September month, so we'll pick it up in October, November. So it should be, I'm hoping 200, but probably 180.
Excellent. Great progress from a low of 66 or whatever it shows. So.
Thank you.
I'll take the under on that, Dean.
I might too, but that's okay. No point arguing. I'll take anything over 135 or whatever last year was.
Oh, boy.
Public Works report.
I just had one item this evening. As the board is aware, we've utilized outside contractors to assist with snow removal for many, many years. This year we did receive sealed bids and open bids on October 2nd. We received 3 bids from 3 contractors for snow removal services, and actually most of the contractors had bid the same amount as they did last year. There was only one contractor that had a 1.5% increase from last year, so they're very comparable, and staff would recommend approval. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Are these the same? Do we have all 3 of these last year?
Same contractors, yes.
Okay.
But again, they were advertised, sealed bids that were opened, so anyone who had a business had the opportunity to bid on this project.
Great.
I make a motion, we approve this, these
Second.
vendors.
The motion was made and seconded to authorize Shreve Services, George's Landscape, and Antrex Inc. to complete emergency snow plowing, salting, and/or snow removal as required and as per the schedule of prices provided by each for the winter season 2014-2015. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Yes.
Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Police Chief's report.
Thank you. The first item I have on the agenda is I'm seeking a motion from the village board to authorize an additional payment for a purchase that had been approved in July. We had gotten approval from the village board to purchase emergency equipment for a couple new squads that we had placed into the fleet. Unfortunately, in that request, oversight on our part, we did not include the shipping costs on that. The shipping costs came to a total of $481.58, bringing the total to $13,288.88. That still brings it under over $2,700 under budget from what we had estimated in the current budget. So I am seeking board's approval for the additional costs for the purchase approved in July.
I move we authorize the additional expenditure of $481.58 for shipping costs for the lighting and equipment purchase for the 2 Ford Interceptor sedans.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you. The next item I have on the agenda is seeking board's approval to adopt an ordinance regulating hours of operation for our village parks, basically limiting people from being at the parks from dusk until dawn. This does not include any parks that are operated or overseen by the park district. These would strictly be parks that belong to the village itself, such as the riverfront, Settlers Park, places like that. Currently, we have no ordinance in place, so if we do catch someone in the park, we really don't have any enforcement other than kicking them out. And obviously, if we catch people in the park, it is not our intent to fine them all the time, but if we get repeat offenders, we want to have something that we can have in place for enforcement purposes. So I am seeking board approval for the ordinance of park hours.
That is my motion.
I do have a question. I know this doesn't apply to the park district, but the way it's written, it seems to me that it could apply to park district parks. It's a little confusing to me. Can we just put up a sign on our parks that say closed at dusk? Which would
We
then-
actually do have signs up there, but when we catch people, such as the riverfront has a prominent sign, I believe that we still catch people in the back of the park, so
But
after
then why aren't we
hours.
just citing them for trespassing then?
I'm sorry?
Or why aren't we just citing them for trespass then? If it's posted, I mean, it's.
Well, typically when, based on our history, on our experience, in order to get a successful prosecution on trespassing, you typically have to warn the people before you cite them. We've had instances where we've caught people places where it's not all the time, but we've caught people where they're not supposed to be, and the prosecution would not move forward because those people had not been physically warned prior to us catching them there.
It's the state's attorney's issue is what it is. I mean,
Well, I won't mention any names, but there's been an issue with us, yes.
okay. And that's fine, and I understand that then, if that's what we gotta do, but I would like to maybe dictate it a little differently, because this really doesn't delineate between our parks and the park district parks. Which
As I understand, that was somewhat intentional in that we were mimicking and mirroring the ordinances with the park district so that it's consistent. Is that correct?
Yes, we wanted to word our ordinance the same as the park district.
Okay. Okay.
Just a point of clarification, I don't know if this is possible or not, I guess I would be more toward supporting an ordinance that would be no loitering after dusk. I mean, for example, if somebody works second or third shift and decides to walk their dog through Sellers Park when they get off work, I know they're probably not gonna get a ticket, they're just gonna, be told, the park is closed, but I guess I have a problem with that, so I'm not gonna support this. I would like to see something possibly proposed if this does fail. Not sure what the rest of the board's gonna do with it. It would be no loitering in the parks after dusk. That would eliminate the problem, in my opinion. I mean, I think we're looking for enforcement where you have people that are hanging out and creating noise and a disturbance after hours and essentially disrupting, the area. And someone's just riding their bicycle, after they get off work, if they,
Taking a
get
jog.
off or taking a jog or walking their dog. I don't want someone to be told they can't walk their dog through Sellers Park when they get off work at 11 o'clock at night. That's just me.
There's
I think
judgment on it.
I have total confidence in our police officers. They do have quite a lot of common sense.
They do.
And so I doubt if
It's true, they're not
that
state.
they would write them up for walking their dog.
I can assure you, we would not be writing people for walking their dogs through the park or taking a jog through the park after hours. But one of the parks that we have that is relatively secluded is Riverfront, the Riverfront property, especially when you get away from Lockport Street. And again, we have had instances where juveniles and young adults have been all the way in the back there after hours, after dark. Thankfully, our cameras have picked up that activity that we placed there, that were approved earlier this year. So we're able to monitor that activity. But again, right now, although there's signs up that says you can't be there, we really have no enforcement in that aspect.
Yeah, I support the ordinance just because it gives you the ability to enforce it when you need to. And I agree with the mayor, you don't, and you, as you said, you don't enforce it frivolously.
There would absolutely be discretion,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm comfortable with that. So.
Are there any other comments or questions? Not, the motion was made and seconded to adopt ordinance number 3179, enacting Chapter 6, Article 1, Section 6-32, relating to the hours of operations for parks. Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Trustee Fay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Rippey?
Yes.
Thank you, that motion carries.
Thank you. And the last item I have is the police operations report for September. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Attorneys,
I do have a question. I got to find the page, though. Page 5 of 28. This is your code enforcement report. You had new violations, closed after reinspection, and billed. Are we actually, what are we billing here?
We typically the bill is for cutting the grass. Well, in this instance, obviously the big one is the weeds and grass. Typically billing the people for cutting their property because they have not complied with the ordinance.
Oh, this is, okay, this is not just a citation, this is an actual billing for services done. 145 is a lot in 1 month, though.
Well, we send out one notice at the beginning of the year because of the number of violations. We give that to the Public Works Department to do those cuts throughout the year. And after that first notice early in the year, basically we recheck the property, but we don't give we don't send out a new notice every time that we find a violation. So the 145, it could be up that high because for whatever reason people aren't checking their properties. Yes.
Okay, that's good. But other than that, your trend on incidents is down again. I mean, every month this year has been down from the previous 2 years, so obviously excellent trend is continuing.
Yes. Knock on wood. We've been relatively quiet lately. Yes.
attorneys report.
No report this evening, thank you.
Reminders.
October 21st is the Planning Commission meeting. October the 27th is the next Committee of the Whole. And our next Village Board meeting will be November the 3rd.
Mayor Collins, may I make a comment for a reminder? Okay. Oftentimes, people criticize governance by simply saying the people that are involved in government are generally, they're elected by a minority, a very small minority in the village of Plainfield, generally 22%. Starting today, we have in-person early absentee voting. For the November 4th consolidated election. It's Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 4:30. There are certain conditions, and I am going to ask our village clerk for the specifics. One of them is obviously you in order to vote at the village hall, you have to
Live in Plainfield and in Will County. We also do early voting for all of Plainfield Township.
And this goes from 8:30 until 4:30 every day, and it's Monday through Friday. And so there's really no excuse for not voting, and there's really no excuse for anyone to simply say, we never have the opportunity to vote. The opportunity is available. Please make use of it. Thank you.
There were 150 voters today?
149.
149.
And if the students need the paper sign, stop up too.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. That motion carries.